In this video, we're going to take a look at how to work with Python and build a FHIR facade. So before we get into it, let's look at what a FHIR facade is, right? So you have your application. So we'll be doing this in Python. And it's able to handle HTTP requests and it's able to respond back. And it's able to do this using the FHIR protocol, right? Now, what we are going to do is we are going to be building this facade using Postgres, and all of the actual data is going to be in Postgres. And we are going to see how we do this section here. How do we build this in Python? Okay, so let's come back to our screen. So here I have it's just a bunch of SQL scripts. I want to show how you can start with, this is a repository with just a patient table and a few patients. So I also have a Docker Compose file here, and you will get all of this code down in the description. You can just download it and you can play around with it. So just look for that link. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do Docker Compose up. And you can also have, if you have a Postgres database running on your instance, that's fine. This will just like start up the database. Now I'm just going to open up another terminal and I'm going to do PSQL host, localhost, user, Postgres. And I already know the password, that's just Postgres. I'm going to copy paste that in here. Now I'm in, and I'm just going to create this patient table. And I'm going to also insert a few dummy patients, just John Doe, Jane Doe, Alice, Bob, and so on. So now I have a few patients. So let's just check this. Let's select star from patients. And we see that we have a few patients with the first name and last name in our Postgres database, right? So now we'll take a look at how we can build a facade on top of this. Now we want to expose this data through the FHIR API, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to open another terminal, and again, this has somehow activated a virtual environment, but we actually want to create a virtual environment, right? So let's do Python. Let's check the Python version I'm on. I'm on version 3.10. Just make sure you're on 3.10 or above. So Python-m venv venv. So this is just the second argument is the name of the virtual environment folder, and this is just the virtual environment module. Now, once I have created this, let's source and go into this. Now, VS Code here still hasn't detected that I am in a Python virtual environment. So what I'm going to do is just create app.py. And see, now it has figured out that, okay, there is a Python thing going on, and we are all good. So now the first thing that we want to do is we should be able to query the SQL server in Python, and we should be able to get this data out, right? And then we can use HTTP routes to expose this. So the first thing that I am going to do is just try and query the database. So let's pip install some packages like we usually do in Python. So let's pip install psycopg. So this is a really easy library that you can use to interact with Postgres. So I'm just going to do import psycopg. Okay. There is also psycopg too, but this is more modern. It's pretty good. Don't get confused by the name. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to connect with my Postgres database, right? So let's do PostgreSQL : **, and then this is the name of the user. This is the password at localhost :543.2, and this is the name of the database, right? So don't get confused here. This is just a connection string. You can pretty easily get this. And then once we connect this, let's call it the connection. And then once we have a connection, we can actually just get a cursor on the connection. And then in the cursor, you could sort of do anything that you want. So any select statements, so for example, let's just try select star from patients, right? And again, there's no reason this select needs to be uppercase. You can just do select star from patients. And you can actually get all the results back by doing cursor dot fetch all, right? This will be the results. Just print the results. Let's see what this looks like. Python app.py, and perfect. We see that we are able to get our John Doe, Jane Doe, and so on. But this is in a tuple format. It's actually easier to work if this just returns an object. There is actually an easy way for you to do that in psycopg. You can just say row factory, and then you can just do psycopg.rows. I think it is dictionary row. Yeah, dictionary row. It's just a function. You pass that in, and now let's run that again. And now you're able to get an object. So this is a little bit easier to work with. So we'll be actually going with this. Now, the thing that we need to do now, again, let's just quickly go back here and see what we're talking about. Now, the HTTP request response is where everything is at, right? So for example, if someone makes a get on, let's say, /patient, we should be able to handle that, and we should be able to convert that into a SQL call, right? We've already covered this extensively, but let's actually implement this, right? Like, how would you implement something like this? So coming back to our code, what we need is some library that you can use to handle HTTP, right? So in this case, I'm going to use FastAPI because like it comes with a nice documentation page. It automatically handles JSON result response. But you can use anything like Flask or any other Python HTTP framework of your choice. So I'm going to do pip install FastAPI standard. So the standard also installs some of the CLI tools that is easy to develop with. So I'm just going to quickly install that. So now FastAPI is installed. Let's do from FastAPI import FastAPI. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am just going to put this inside a function that is /patient, because FHIR expects that, right? So if we go back and if we look at FHIR patient resource, this is the RESTful usage of FHIR. So if we take a look at the RESTful HTTP API, what we are doing here is actually listing, right? Like we are doing search across all resource type based on, okay, we are actually doing type level interaction search. So if they do just, base / a particular resource type, we should be able to return all of the types of that particular patient. We can also implement read. So this is basically what we'll be doing. We'll be doing search and read in this tutorial. So let's take a look at how we'll do that. So the first thing is we'll create a FastAPI app. So let's do app equals FastAPI. And with this app, you can actually do a route just like this /patient, right? That's about it. And then this is a decorator. So let's do @ and then let's define get all patients, right? That's it. Now this, you can actually just return this and see what this looks like, right? Just to see, get a feel of what this feels like. So for FastAPI, you just need to do FastAPI dev app.py. You just can't run the file. But then this comes with a nice documentation Swagger interface. So now I can see that, it shows me get all patients, patient, and I can actually just use the try it out and then do an execute. And then it actually returns all of the patients in the server, right? But this is not what we want. Like what the FHIR response should look like is actually a bundle. And again, we have taken a look at the search. So this should return a bundle, and the bundle should then contain the patients, right? Now let's actually try and implement that, right? So what we need to do is first be able to convert each of these rows into FHIR patient resources, and then we should be able to put that inside a bundle. Okay. So how do we do that? Now we know that our patient sort of looks like this. We have an ID, we have a first name, last name, and date of birth. So I'm just going to write a function here. And again, once you have FastAPI, it automatically reloads and does like some fancy developer stuff. So I'm going to define patient row to resource, and it's going to just take a row. This is going to be a row object. But before that, let's just quickly pip install the FHIR.resources package. We covered this in another video on how you can create FHIR resources in Python. So check that out if you haven't already, but this package comes in very handy. So let's just do FHIR resources dot patient import patient, right? So what we are going to do is just say patient equals patient, a new object, and then let's see what we can populate. I think we already have our data here, right? So I'm just going to copy this and put it on top for my own reference. Let's just make this into a comment. So this is how our data looks like. So this is how the row looks like. So we're creating a patient, and then let's set the ID first. Patient.id equals, and then this ID has to be an ID type, or it's got to be a string, right? Like that's what FHIR basically supports. If you take a look at the FHIR patient resource again, and it actually won't show the ID here because it's part of the overall it's part of the resource. So in here you have this ID, and it needs to be of type ID. Okay, and this type ID is nothing but like there is a regex for it needs to be A to Z, 0 to 9. It can include some it could kind of include some symbols like dash and a dot, but apart from that it can include like only 1 to 64 characters. So in our case, we can actually just use this 1, but it's an integer, so we got to convert that. So let's convert that into row ID, and we're good. So up next, we have the first name. So again, if we take a look at the patient resource, the name has a human name. There are multiple names. So let's start with one name. So let's say patient.name equals, this is going to be an array, but in here we can actually do a human name. So from FHIR.resources.human name, import human name. And we'll just populate that here. Let's say human name. And we'll do a given. And again, a given inside a human name is an array, right? Like it has to be multiple. So it's going to be a list. So given should be multiple. And we can do row first name. And the family in this case is a string type, so we can just do row last name. Perfect. So we got that going. Now finally, let's just populate the patient dot birth date. So it's called birth date, and we have date of birth, and that's a date time, so that's good. So we can just directly insert that. So let's say row, and we just do date of birth. Okay. And just like that, we pretty much covered all of the different types. Let's just return this patient. And from here, what we are doing is we are getting each row. Just before we get each row, let's just convert it into resources. So let's just do patient resources equal to, let's just do a list comprehension here. And we'll do patient row to resource results for, sorry, not results. It's actually row for row in results. It'll be better to just rename this as row. So row in rows sounds a little easier. And then this is called rows. Yep. And finally, we can actually return the patient resource. Let's see what that looks like. So here again, we are just returning the patient object in here. We are not converting this to JSON. Let's see what this looks like in the FastAPI response. So again, you can use the docs, you can do that right now, but you can also just do your server/patient. And we are getting a lot of, let's zoom this in a bit more. So you're getting a lot of null fields, right? Like you're getting everything that is possible for a patient is being set to null. I think the reason for this is mainly because we are not actually converting this into an object. We're just returning it as a patient. So instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to say, I actually want this to be output as dump the model. So let's model dump that. So that'll just return a proper object with only the fields that are required. Let's refresh this, and perfect. We see that we have patient resource, and everything is good. This is good, but it's still not inside a bundle, right? It's not inside a bundle. So let's actually work on that. Let's make this a little smaller. So instead of, this is the entries that needs to go in. But again, let's go to the bundle resource. So let's just go to bundle.html. Let's look at what we need here. So I think the only mandatory sort of fields are the type. So in this case, this is actually just, this is technically a transaction response, right? Like someone is asking for something. Actually, no, it's a search set. It's a search set, and if you look at the bundle type, they'll tell you what each of these mean. So a search set is the bundle is a list of resources returned as a result of a search/query interaction operation or message. So in this case, let's actually go ahead and create a new bundle. So from FHIR.resources.bundle import bundle. We may need a few more of these entries, but let's see. So again, a lot of the code has been properly done here on GitHub. I'll put a link to this as well, but you can, this will be easier for you to kind of follow along with. So here we are actually creating a bundle with type search set, and entry is just a bundle entry, and we are putting in the resource here. So we'll basically do that, right? Like my colleague Vipin has actually already done this for me, but I am going to do this again for you. So we have all of the resources here, right? So this is still the patient resources, right? So I'm not going to model dump this now because we can just take it into an array and it's an object, right? So it's okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say bundle equals to new bundle. And in here, we are going to say the total is just the length of the patient resources. And we are going to say entry is nothing but it's an array of bundle entries. So we got to import the bundle entry here. Bundle entry. Array of bundle entry. And the bundle entry takes a resource, right? And the resource is nothing but our patient resources. So let's just call it patient, and let's just do an array comprehension again for patient in patient resources. Perfect. Again, this is a little hard to read because it's a bit, it's a pretty long statement. We can just put it on the next line here. There we go. So that is the bundle, right? Like, so the bundle has a total and it has a bundle, this thing. And finally, we can actually just return the bundle. And this we can do a model dump on. Finally, when we are returning this, right? Now, let's see what this looks like. Let's go to our get all patients API and let's click on try it out and execute. Okay, we got an internal server error. Let's see what the problem is. Value for field type is required. Oh, okay. So again, since we have validation automatically being done, they say that let's see which field it's missing on the bundle field. So they are saying that we need to actually put a type here. So let's do that. Let's see type. And we actually saw this before. So we know that this has to be search set. So we'll just set this to search set, right? I think that's fine. Let's try it again. Execute, please work. Oh, perfect. So we have a resource type of bundle search set total, and we have all of our patients showing up in the FHIR format with the proper IDs. Now this is in the docs page, but even if you do a normal /patient and pretty print this is a beautiful FHIR response. Okay. Now this is not all. What you also need to do is for every valid FHIR server, you also need to sort of have a capability statement. Now again, if you don't find something or there is an error, you obviously need to return an operation outcome and you need to take care of that. But in this case, this is not a fully fledged like working FHIR server just yet. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a metadata and a capability statement routes. Let's add both of this. Get capability. Now, I wish there is an easy way to auto-generate this in Python, but there is not. So I'll just show you the capability statement resource, and we'll just take an example and then maybe just like work with that. So this is all of the different things that are basically supported by your server, right? So the resources, I'll just get rid of everything that we don't support. So I think we do not support XML. We only support JSON. The FHIR version we are using is R4. Then I think the software, I don't know, let's just call Siddharth's test FHIR server. Description, whatever, like let that be. I think the name of the FHIR server, okay, we can just make it test patient server, title, Siddharth's server, date. I don't think any of this is like mandatory. You can just make this, medblocks, publisher, and description. I don't think any of this is mandatory. I'm going to get rid of that. And I am going to just say again, like contact, let's maybe, okay, I think we'll just put https medblocks.com. And security, we don't really have this, so we're going to remove that. We have resource patient. We don't have read yet, but we do have search, right? So we have the search type interaction going on. So we'll keep that and we'll remove everything else, right? And just to see if this is valid, let's just pass this through our capability statement resource here. So from capability statement, import capability statement. And again, we can easily just parse this and then dump it again, and that will validate it. So let's actually just do that. It's pretty simple. Let's just do capability statement, and then we can actually just do ** resource that will just pass everything as expanded attributes. We can just do a return, and then we can do model dump on this. Okay, simple, right? So let's see what we get. So if we go to /metadata, internal software. Okay, value. Okay, so the date field was required after all. Oh god. Okay, fine. Let's add that back. Let's see. Where was the date? Yeah, there we go. So again, this is what actually makes it a valid FHIR server. You need a capability statement. Otherwise, it's not. Okay, there we go. So finally, we have a capability statement. We can search on patient. And if we do /patient, voila, there we go. Now, it's not that difficult to just implement one more functionality in here. In fact, let's try and implement the read functionality on patient. So I'm just going to add the read interaction as well. So let's add this to our capability. Let's say we can also do read. Okay. So what does that mean? So this basically means you can get a patient by ID, right? So let's just do app.get, and then let's just do patient and /ID, define get patient by ID. Okay, and just pass in the ID in here. Now it's going to be almost exactly the same, but you are going to only select patients that match a particular ID. So we'll say where ID equals to a particular string. This is like the formatting in this is a string formatting in Python, and then we'll pass in ID as an array here. Now this will basically just get the ones that match this. Okay, so instead of fetch all, we'll just do fetch one. Okay, now that will give us a row, and we can convert this into a patient resource by saying patient row to resource, and then just say row, and then we can return patient dot model dump. Okay, now what we can do with this is we can actually let's go back to our browser. So let's say you have a patient here that says like patient ID 1, which is John Doe. You can actually just navigate to patient/1 and you will get John Doe in more detail as a patient. Okay. And again, like there is a Swagger UI for this as well now. So you can kind of just, go in there, try it out, get patient 4. And we get Smith, like Bob Smith. But what happens if you put in 6? This patient does not exist. We get an internal server error, right? So it tells you like, blah, blah, this doesn't exist, row doesn't exist, none type does not exist. So let's just implement an operation outcome here, right? Like, so let's do a proper error handling in here. So what we're going to do is we will say, if row is none, right? I know that Vipin has done something here. Let's just see what we have for error handling. Okay, if not patient. Okay, so you could also do if that or if is none. I think it's easier. It's more safe to do if not row, right? So if not row, then you create an operation outcome. I think I'll just copy this as it is. Right, operation outcome. Let's import that from FHIR.resources.operation_outcome. Import operation outcome, and yeah, basically just return an operation outcome. And again, like FHIR tells that the status code when you have an operation outcome doesn't really matter, but I think it's okay to return a 404 in this case. But you can also just return a 200 and give it a proper operation outcome resource. That is valid FHIR as well, right? So let's just say patient with ID not found, and we'll just do return outcome dot dump, model dump. Okay, so now let's see what this looks like. Let's go back and let's try the same patient number 6 again, and we get an operation outcome, patient with ID 6 not found. Perfect. So just like that, you have implemented your FHIR Facade in Python. I hope this was helpful, and if you liked it, just let me know in the comments so I can make more of these videos. And if you want to check out a full code repository, and again, this is not like a basic one. My colleague has properly built out different models and different, there's a lot more going on here on how you can properly build a FHIR Facade with Python. So if you're interested in that, just check the description down below. You can definitely like download it, play around with it, and maybe it'll help you in what you're doing right now. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.